Good morning. Hi. Uh, did you ever make a mistake? It's a dumb question, isn't it? We've all made our share of mistakes. Um, but I was reading about something today that kind of caught my eye about how little we oftentimes learn from our mistakes. If you look back at the 1929 crash and the 2008 Great Recession that happened, during that whole time, economists were saying they knew exactly what to do to keep the economy strong. And yet, surprisingly, it fell apart. Supposedly, they knew how to keep it from doing that, and yet it did that in spite of all of their wisdom, especially in 1929. And very little happened to the people who were supposedly responsible for these crashes. Nothing happened to the bankers who had just speculated and loaned money haphazardly so that they could make more and more and more money. Nothing happened to the Wall Street brokers who over speculated on stocks in the stock market. There's a library in London that decided it would be a good idea to put together a library of mistakes. It's got over 2,000 books just on economic mistakes that people have made. It's got books with the titles like Crash of the Titans, The Crunch, Debt Shock, Too Big to Fail, The Manipulators. They started putting it together after the 2008 Great Recession. They said that it's important to remember our mistakes because even smart people will do stupid things. And they quoted an oft-times remembered quote that says, "For those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it." You know, God understands that about us. And that's why the Bible isn't just a collection of sweet, nice stories of all the good things that happened that godly people did, all the good things that godly people did, all the wonder. It doesn't just have that. It has that and so much more. It has all their mistakes and foibles and foul ups. It has so much more than just the good stuff. It has David's failure with Bathsheba. It has Balaam's getting so far off track. It has Balaam getting so far off track that his donkey had to talk to him to tell him to quit beating him because he was trying to save his life. It had Moses' mistake when he hit the rock and water came forth without giving God the credit. It's filled with mistakes, not filled with mistakes in its writing, but filled with the mistakes that people made. And yet, we keep making a lot of the same mistakes. Maybe it's time we pay a little bit more attention to the mistakes that godly people in the past have made and try to avoid remaking those same mistakes. The Bible says in 1 Corinthians 10, verse 11, it says, now these things happened to them as an example, but they were written down for our instruction, on whom the end of the age has come. These things were written down as an example so that we could learn from them, so that we could grow from them, so that we could maybe avoid making the same dumb mistakes. Now listen, I'm the king of mistakes. It seems like no matter how I keep trying to do the right thing, I forget something. And somewhere along the line, I just end up shaking my head thinking, how in the world did I do that? Where are you at, Peanut? Peanut's talking to. Oh, there you are. Anyway, we have the hope is that we don't keep making the same mistakes. And even better, the hope is for us to take a look at the mistakes that those before us made and say, you know what, I can learn something from them. I can learn from David's mistakes. I can learn from Balaam's mistakes. I can learn from Moses' mistakes. I can learn from Paul or Peter's mistakes. Peter, who didn't want to accept the Gentiles until God had to lower the food before him and say, look, what I've called clean, don't call unclean. We're all going to make mistakes. Question is, are we going to take the opportunity to learn to make as few as we can? Peanut says yes. You have a great day. God bless you. I will see you, Lord willing, tomorrow.